Rahim. Welcome everyone. Inshallah, we'll talk about Dar Al-Arqam, but before we start, let's do some salawats. Everyone, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi. كلما اختلف الملوان وتعاقب العصران وكرر الجديدان واستقبل الفرقدان وبلغ روحه وأرواح أهل بيته منا التحية والسلام. Amen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay, so beginning, emergence of Dar Al-Arqam. So we really need to go to the beginning of Islam. You will remember when Prophet ﷺ received the revelation in the Mount Hira, right? So that's the beginning of the call. The extraordinary experience. So Prophet ﷺ was in awe and he went back to his family, his wife Khadija radiallahu anha. And then this is where his call started. And shortly after this, we clearly see in the Sirah sources that this was heard by everyone in Mecca, pretty much. Not even in Mecca, the news reached to the Yemen or different parts of the world in a very, very short period of time. That's not our topic, but the message resonated with the community from day one. Just to give you a thing, like a snippet from the Sirah, first verses that are revealed are Iqra, Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq, the first 5 verses of Surah Alaq. The second chapter that is revealed according to sources is Surah Qalam. Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika bimajnun, Quran says. So with the favor of your Lord, you are not possessed, Quran says. This is the second group of verses revealed. Why these verses are revealed? Because he was immediately accused of possession. That basically means his message was already out there. So people are accusing him of something, right? So in that sense, we don't have a secret kind of secrecy in revelation. Secret call doesn't exist in Sirah. So we're kind of fixing some perceptions as well in this talk. So secrecy is about strategy of the Prophet. It's not about the message and the revelation. Revelation from day one up until the last moment of his life, it was already publicly announced. That is his main mission. He cannot conceal that. Prophet, if he is concealing revelation, it means he is not doing his job. That's not possible. So that's something important. So when his message started to resonate with people, Meccans, firstly, they were a bit unsure what's happening. You know, is this someone like Zayd ibn Amr or Waraka ibn Nawfal, a Hanif person who is talking against our idols, so this is not going to make any influence in the society. They thought like that. But once they realized some people are believing in him, they started to really change their position and verbally and physically attack the Prophet or his companions. So in those early days, an interesting incident happened. 2 incidents happened. Sources are suggesting that these 2 incidents happened in the first few months of his call. Months. Some sources suggest it happened in the 40th day of his nubuwwah, when he started his message. So very, very early. First incident is Harith ibn Abi Hala incident. This person, Harith, is a stepson of the Prophet. Prophet's wife Khadija radiallahu anha, she married before. She had two sons before, from the previous marriages. Abi Hala is the thing, Khadija's husband. So Harith ibn Abi Hala. So Harith is from a previous marriage. So when Prophet ﷺ, he announced his call, shortly after this revelation, he was praying in Kaaba with a couple of people, very, very early days. And there was a tension between him and Meccans, and someone shooted an arrow which killed Harith ibn Abi Hala. So this is Prophet's stepson, and this is narrated by Isabah ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, very famous scholar who has a biography book about companions. So in biography of Harith, he lists him as one of the earliest companions, and he captures this information in that source. So when this happened, Prophet ﷺ, he asked his companions to be invisible as much as possible, like use these locations that are outside the central area. So they are going to mountains like beyond this mountain of Abu Qubays. So he wants them to be don't be visible in the society, don't be a target for people. So that's his first strategy. But one day when companions, Saad ibn Abi Waqqas, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Talha ibn Ubaydullah, these are very early senior companions. They are even, some of them are part of that list of 10 companions promised paradise, right? So they were praying there, and some of the polytheists, Meccan leaders, they noticed, they spotted them. Actually, they chased them because they were always a bit anxious what's happening. So whenever they see someone who is, suspectedly believer, they would chase them, especially if they are a group of people. So when they got out, according to sources, in a valley called Dub, the valley of Dub, they started to tease them. And later on, they started to accuse the Prophet, use some bad words against Islam or the Prophet ﷺ, which, it really provoked Saad ibn Abi Waqqas, and he took a jawbone of a camel that was there, and he hit someone called Khattal, Abdullah ibn Khattal, which started to bleed, and they dispersed after this because Muslims are also responding in a way. But that really was a very important signal for the Prophet ﷺ at the beginning of his message. Now, there is a tension, and Meccans, they want to escalate that tension. And there is a reason for that, because, if you want to isolate people, and jeopardize their mission and call, and if you don't have anything to offer to society, if you don't have words, the power of words, the message to deliver, so you resort to violence, you resort to oppression. So that's the mentality of all oppressors. They realized early on that, we can marginalize this group, and, they were provoking them through testing their patience, provoking them through these interactions. So Prophet ﷺ, when he heard about this incident, he asked his companions not to involve in any of such, interactions. He asked them to keep away from a conflict zone. But this is not possible unless you have a permanent solution, a strategy, a structured program in mind, a mind map, if you like. So Prophet ﷺ, he was in search of a solution. Once again, we are talking about when? The first year of his call, very early days of his message. As we said, according to some sources, this incident happened at the 40th day of his message, his call. Very, very early on, in the first year. So he was in search. This person, Arqam ibn Abi Al-Arqam, one day when Prophet ﷺ was doing, he's praying in Kaaba here. So, and he noticed, he spotted this guy, this boy. He's a very young companion, 17 years old, boy. He spotted this person, and Prophet ﷺ, he was deliberately kind of, showing what he's doing, like prayer, different rituals that Meccans are not that much familiar at that time. This person, Arqam, was somehow aware because, as we said, the message resonated with the community. He is already hearing some stuff about Muhammad, and his father is Abd Manaf. He is a friend of the Prophet from Hilful Fudur. When Prophet ﷺ was at the age of 20 years old, there was an oppression in Mecca. To stop oppression, they formed an alliance, which is called Hilful Fudur, the alliance of virtues. So his father, Arqam's father, Abd Manaf, he is part of that committee. They stood against injustice very, very early on, 20 years before prophethood. This happened. So he has a friendship. His father has a friendship with the Prophet for a long time. So this person is hearing, but he is from Bani Makhzum tribe. Bani Makhzum tribe means Abu Jahil's tribe. So Bani Makhzum, Abu Jahl. That tribe means opposition to the Prophet. So he is from the palace of Pharaoh. Because Prophet ﷺ, he named Abu Jahl as Pharaoh of this nation. Pharaoh of my nation, he said. So he is from the palace of Abu Jahl, from the palace of Pharaoh. So there are a lot of barriers, also a lot of opportunities for this person. He is in between to make a choice. He's already hearing a lot bad stuff about the Prophet ﷺ, but he is also suspecting that, how come this person, we knew him, my father was a friend, like he cannot reconcile. So if you are old, you go by prejudice, biases most of the time. If you're young, you are more, flexible, and you question a lot, whether this is correct or not. So he came to know the Prophet with that interaction and immediately embraced Islam. On those days, he just married. So he just married, and his father gifted him a residence, very, very nice spot in Mecca. So I'll talk about that a bit, more in a moment, inshallah. So he embraced Islam, but Prophet ﷺ asked him not to reveal this. He said, keep this secret. Don't tell anyone that you are a Muslim. Remember why? He was in search of what? A solution that escalating tension in the society. So he is already in search of a solution, and this person came, and a few days later, according to sources, Prophet ﷺ visited his house, and he looked around, and this person, he made a historic statement. He said, my house is your house. Bayti Baytuk, he said, according to sources. My house is your house. Use it as you wish. Use it as you wish. So imagine someone who is just getting married. The parents is rich. They are in a mood of honeymoon. How they're going to spend this time and resources, and how this person is going to utilize this time and resources. Just think about it, and let's sometimes take some lessons from this historical incidents. So after this, so Prophet ﷺ was in search of this, and this person embraced Islam, and he asked him to conceal this. But when we look at the Quran, I personally believe these verses are revealed around that time, but I don't have 100% evidence for that. But let's go through these verses. This is from Surah Yunus, verse 83 to 88 or something. We are just going to focus on 2 verses from this passage. It's a very important one. Remember, we were talking about whom? Pharaoh, right? A moment ago. Pharaoh, when Musa alayhi salam started his call and delivered his message to Pharaoh, Quran says, فَمَا آمَنَ لِمُوسَى إِلَّا ذُرِّيَّةٌ مِّن قَوْمِهِ عَلَى خَوْفٍ مِّن فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِمْ أَن يَفْتِنَهُمْ. So when he called them to this call, this message, only a young generation from the community believed in him, believed in Musa alayhi salam, despite the fear that was, there in the community from Pharaoh and his advisors. So they were really spreading a sense of fear that if you believe, you will be, you will be killed, you will be harmed. They were really, threatening them with death. So Quran says only Zurriyatun min qawmihi, a young generation. That is very much similar to who believed the Prophet ﷺ in those days. Remember, Arqam, he was 17 years old boy, a young companion. But the following verses, Quran says, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى وَأَخِيهِ. We revealed to Musa alayhi salam and his brother Harun alayhi salam, أَن تَبَوَّأَ لِقَوْمِكُمَا بِمِصْرَ بُيُوتًا. So you establish in the city in Egypt, houses, buyutan, unknown houses, because this is nakra in Arabic. If you know Arabic, buyutan, it's not known, unknown. So established houses that are unknown. وَاجْعَلُوا بُيُوتَكُمْ قِبْلَةً وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. And make these houses qibla houses. The houses that you find your direction, right? The house that you find your direction, and establish the prayer. Establish the teachings of Islam. It means prayer is a symbol of Islam. So when you pray, it means you are a Muslim. It's the same thing. Its major symbol is mentioned there. Prayer was already known in the time of the Prophet by this time, in those early days. So this verse is an indication what to do. He needs to establish a house, a qibla house that people can find direction, and they pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they start learning their religion. So Prophet ﷺ then, he asked Arqam to keep this secret, and he is now going to build his strategy. Sometimes, you come across this information that, Dar Al-Arqam, on those few lines in the Sirah sources, it mentions that, they were under oppression. There was no option. They have to, conceal. They have to hide. They can't openly call people to Islam. That's not the case. Yes, there are some components that this is forcing them to be, away from the conflict zone, so they are not target, but it is not accurate. Because remember what I said, from day one, Prophet ﷺ, he recited openly, and he will always recite openly. He will always go to Kaaba and recite Quran. Even some sources will say 7 of his companions, they were known to Meccans, and they were publicly praying, or at least reciting some verses from the Quran. Like one incident, at least I will explain later. So then Prophet ﷺ, he decided that, he will keep his community, this very young few companions, away from conflict zone, not make them target for people, but this is the best spot. Arqam's house is the best spot for several reasons. So let's now look at this house, why Prophet ﷺ selected this house. So look at this map carefully. So we are talking about Arqam's house. This house is quite spacious. It's a bit big house. So this house was demolished in 1955. We know the exact history of this house. I can give another lecture sometimes later, the historical journey of this house. But this house ultimately destroyed in 1955. So in Ottoman manuscripts, we see some of the travelers, when they go to Hajj, how they describe this house. So that's the Ottoman period. We see Ibn Saad, for instance, he passed away in 250. He describes the house. Like from there to there, we see the exact measures of the house, how it is looking like whatsoever. So in 1955, when Saudis were making major constructions, renovation to the site, they destroyed this house. We know Muhammad Hamidullah, for instance, one of the recent Sirah scholars, in 1940s, he visited there and he describes the house as well. So it's a very big house in many ways. That's why I just touched upon that. So Prophet ﷺ, he realized this is a very nice spot. Prophet's house is here. And this valley belongs to the family of Bani Hashim or Abdul Muttalib, Prophet's ancestors. This valley belongs to Bani Makhzum tribe. Remember Arqam's tribe. Arqam's tribe is on this house is on this side. Like literally this area all the way belongs to people like Abu Jahl, Utbah, Shayba, all the major enemies, because there is a serious kind of Prophet's fifth forefather, Qusay ibn Kilab. His name is Qusay ibn Kilab. He passed away 130 years before Prophet ﷺ, his fifth forefather. So when he was in charge of the city, leader of Mecca, he had a resettlement strategy. Depending on your service as a tribe to Kaaba, you are going to be located in a certain point. So Beni Abdul Muttalib, Beni Hashim was located in this. That basically means Kilab at that time. He and his family. Makhzum tribe were located there. Some tribes are located in different parts. We clearly know where they are located. So this tribe, Beni Makhzum, is on the other side of the hill. So when you come from this side, or when you are resident of this area, you cannot spot this house. So it's a very, very nice, thing, because there is a small hill there, but it is also on the pathway of what? Sa'i. This is Safa, this is Marwa, and this is Kaaba. So all these things are currently part of the sanctuary. Like recent Hujjaj can say that it's one location. You don't see all these differences. It's just Kaaba and Sa'i. Everything is one place at the moment. But at that time, you need to, when you do Sa'i, you go from here to there. Very crowded area. Extremely crowded. Because of Hujjaj, because of pilgrims coming there. And also it is extremely crowded because it's the major pilgrims. They come for pilgrimage purposes, but it is also the time to do trading. So it's very busy street at the same time. And also from there, to be able to go out, there are 4 different exits in the house. Let's say they are spotted and someone is going to target them. They can go from different doors. There's no, more than one entrance and exit for the house. So it's very strategic in that sense. So that is in terms of, the location, and it has also very easy access to visitors. So don't forget, Prophet's message, yes, one side of the house is to keep them away so they are not spotted by Meccans. But on the other hand, he is going to continue his mission, and Meccans are going to resist. So he needs to look for external people. And Hujjaj are the best people, so he can interact with them very quickly through this channel. So it's a very central location, very strategic location in Mecca, but in the house as well. So when you go in, in those early days, they are not able to pray in congregation. Prayer, for that reason, even became compulsory after Miraj. That's 11th year of the prophethood. It's very, very later on. So there are reasons they don't have to pray in congregation. Yet Prophet ﷺ, he wants to pray in congregation. So the house has a perfect interior setting that it accommodates up to, we are about to 40 right now. It's the number of Dar Al-Arqam, or average number. We'll talk about that numbers and figures. So it can accommodate, that many people, so they can pray there as well. So in terms of interior design and in terms of the location, it is the best spot. So Prophet ﷺ, he really picked that house for a reason, and he is going to utilize this strategy. And what is interesting is this house, according to my findings, it's established in those early days, in the first few months. 100% I have a confidence that it was the first year of his call that it was established. By the time that this house is known, is deciphered, if you like, by the Meccans, it will be 6.5 years almost after. So for 6 years, they are going to come together in this house. Nobody is able to find out. That's, that house accommodates that secrecy. It's the best spot in Mecca that people are not suspecting. What will people think at that time? You know, Muhammad, yani Abu Bakr. So that's what Abu Jahl says. You know, when Bilal was tortured, you know, you watched that movie, The Message, right? Abu Bakr sent someone to purchase it. And when they asked who purchased this person, they said Abu Bakr. In Arabic, if you watch that movie, Abu Bakr yani Muhammad. Umayyah ibn Khalaf says, yeah, you know, Abu Bakr means Muhammad. You know, there is no difference. They are same people. So everybody will suspect Abu Bakr. Everybody will suspect Abu Talib. Everybody will suspect some, you know, prominent people's house. Nobody will think that this is the house of Arqam, who is 17 years old boy from Bani Makhzum tribe, which is all the enemies of the Prophet, major enemies belong to. Like, who will suspect that? Nobody. Who will suspect? Like, remember the house, the restructure of Mecca. This house right across the thing, Kaaba, originally by that fifth forefather of Prophet, what was the name? Qusay ibn Kilab. So he established this house. This is a city council. Right next to Kaaba, he established this house to regulate and arrange the interior matters, like the parliament house or council for the Meccans. So when he established this, they also agreed on some conditions. Who can be a representative of this house? You know, there is no voting at that time, but there are some conditions, some criterion. One of the major criterion is you need to pass the age of 40. Minimum 40. So this house, 17 years old boy, nobody will think at that society, you know, that, okay, they are going to come together in a young boy's house for this very important mission, which is going to make, you know, some changes or threatening the society. It should have been Abu Talib's house, Abu Bakr's house, some other people's house, not Uthman's house. He is also one of the first 10, you know, converts, very wealthy, very reputable person. So they never thought about that. So Prophet ﷺ is utilizing strategies that we also learn from that. That, you know, trusting a young boy, you can completely transform the society through that. You know, that's a source that you know, if you are able to utilize it, you can make a significant impact in the society. Let's move on. So this house is going to play a very significant role. We will unpack this. So it will play like companions when you read their life. When they refer to Arqam's house, they don't refer to Arqam's house as Dar Al-Arqam. They refer to Arqam's house as Darul Islam. So it's not Arqam's house, it is Islam's house, Islam's abode. So by the way, when we talk about this location, it uses dar. You can see, I was searching for this word quite some time. It is used only for Khadija's house, which is here, Dar Khadija, most of the time in the sources. There are few people only in Mecca, when they talk about their house, they use dar in Arabic. In Arabic, house has many words. It could be bayt, right? It could be manzil, it could be different words, but they are using dar specifically. Dar means it's a spacious, it's a big house. So, and in later on, dar, like Darun Nadwa is also similar. It is used for like, you know, you come for a conference, there is a major congress that, you know, so many people are coming together. In modern Arabic, they use dar and nadwa for those kind of initiatives. So it needs to be a little bit big. So this house is really a hub, major place from here on for the Prophet ﷺ to bring his community together and focus on their education, nurturing them and preparing them for the future. So Prophet ﷺ doesn't have time to deal with those immediate, you know, oppression and concern and insults. That is a very cunning strategy of oppressors. very cunning strategy of oppressors. They want to occupy you, mentally occupy you with something that you cannot produce any merit, anything that is going to impact the society or change the course of history. So you just stuck on this insult and oppression. Yes, we shouldn't disregard it, but shouldn't mentally occupy with that only as well. So Prophet ﷺ here is teaching, he did not really stuck on those insults of Meccans. He will be provoked many times. His companions will be provoked many times, but he will just focus on his companions, nurturing them spiritually, intellectually, in terms of their skills, growing them, preparing them for a better future. So he is not really taking these things as a major concern. His major concern is this community is going to make an impact in the society for generations to come up until the day of judgment. So he knows what he is doing. We Muslims, we should know what we are doing, what is our role. We Muslims, our role is to establish earth, give value to the, to the society, to the, lost, important teachings of Islam, to teach people what is my ultimate purpose in the society. All the ideologies, all the damage in terms of the environment, in terms of the society or other aspects, it's not coming from Islam or Islamic teachings. It's human-made, innovations, I will use that word, that is really threatening the society. So you need to have an alternative for people, that people find hope in this. So Meccans, they are going through a dark age of ignorance. They already fighters. They already know how to, insult one another, plunder their belonging. That's what they have been doing for years. So Prophet is coming with something completely different, which offers solutions, offers a better future for society. So he really focused on that. He's not wasting his time on those matters. Rather, he is strategically preparing his, young companions, handful companions, for that future that he is foreseeing as a prophet, with the divine guidance, with the guidance of the Quran.